What's up? It's your boy Bobby Sapphire, and I am here with the KTOD. We are going to preview a Twilight of the Republic card right now. Justin, how hyped are you?
I'm very excited.
I have to say, I think we're the only people in this call who are going to know this character from the Clone Wars. Maddie, have you watched the Clone Wars at all?
I've watched a little bit, but it was a long time ago. I don't remember anything. So I'm going to this with a little bit of knowledge of Star Wars, and I've never seen the card. I'm pretty excited.
Steve,
you didn't
watch
Clone Wars.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to introduce you, but Steve, you watched Clone Wars, and you still didn't know who this character was.
I think I watched Clone Wars like 1.75 times. Like I tried rewatching it and like missed some stuff here and there, but I have no clue who this is. But it is a spicy card.
This is a major Clone Wars character.
I'm the only one who hasn't seen the
seasons. Yeah, I think so. Justin, have you seen the card?
Yes.
Okay. And you know who this character is?
Of course.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't know about major character. I don't know about major character. I mean, he's big, but he's big boy.
For one of the seasons, for one of the seasons, he is a main character. Yeah.
I'm really interested.
All right. So the other thing is, people watching this now will have already seen the leader drop. So we can make. I'm going to make a quick prediction. Justin, maybe you want to too. I'm going to guess that the leader drop on Thursday was. Well, what's your guess? Because it is tied to a leader.
I thought it was Maul.
Yeah, I think it's probably Maul because, I think Maul's one of the starter deck leaders, maybe? No, it's Grievous and Ahsoka, right?
No, it's Grievous and Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah. So, all right. So, so Justin's guess is it's Maul. My guess is it's Mother Talzin because our preview card is...
I don't know who that is.
Savage Opress, Maul's brother, created by Mother Talzin, the Night Sister, the leader of the Night Sister Coven. So
this guy's just like a very angry guy.
Yeah,
this thing's pretty good.
So
it's from Clone Wars season 3.
Yeah, she makes Savage Opress, creates him with the night magic. So he is a 7-cost aggression villain, Force Knight, Underworld 7/7. When played, if you control fewer units, including this one, than an opponent, ready this unit. So a potential come into play ready trigger, which means it can, if you could give it ambush, it could attack twice potentially.
Yeah.
This card, what's your initial reaction, Maddie? You were the one who wanted to stay in the dark.
Yeah. So my initial reaction is if you can give this thing ambush, Mace, Windu, futures are going way down. I want to play red green villain. I want to play Vader into Piet, and then I want to follow up with this thing and just start smacking. I think that's a pretty good line. Even timelying this out for 8 when you've ramped ahead of them.
Well,
right?
I like that because that means you might have fewer units out if you timely it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can use the Vader to chop or something. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool card in terms of all the tokens too. If there's token decks, this is a pretty great answer to those. Jesse stonks are up right now.
Still talking about Jesse.
Your token.
I think this is a sideboard staple because of that, right? If there's ever go wide decks, I'm just gonna run Savage, easy sideboard slot.
Right. There's also the concept of playing an all removal deck, but then literally playing no units.
Yes, this is your Baneslayer Angel. Yeah.
Right. Your opponent is
claim
desperately trying to keep their units out. You know what I mean? They're trying to get their guys.
Yeah.
And you're okay, cool, you got 1 unit. Now I have Savage that comes into play untapped.
Yeah, you could play a blue-red mill deck where, because you still mill through damage. And your opponent's well, I'm out of cards, so I claim. But they've got guys out, and they're claiming because they want to try and attack with their guys. And you're oh, well, I'll just dome you for 7 here. And now you've got to think about actually killing my Savage because I just took off, almost 20% of your health or whatever, depending. So, I think he leads to some really interesting deck building decisions because of that. And we're always going to pay attention to a unit that comes into play ready.
Yeah.
And doing so with a 7/7 that has the Force trait.
It
has the Underworld trait, which is huge.
Yeah,
and who know? And this is why that I was thinking possibly Night Sister leader is because of that night trait. Is that a dormant trait that they're going to use later? in the Ahsoka set or whatever, because the Night Sisters show up in Ahsoka, or is this a trait that's coming at us right now that we haven't seen yet, and there's going to be like a real Night Sister theme to this set?
So you guys raise a good point. Like, you don't even necessarily need to have to give it ambush. You just
Oh,
maneuver
for sure.
in a way
It's
that-
just
yeah, yeah.
because it's a triggered ability, the when played
Yeah.
trigger, it does get the double ready if you
Yeah.
did ambush it and still have
Yeah,
fewer
that would be
units.
that would be like under niche but cool interactions. But I think that the main way to do this is just drop it
Oh, for sure.
like
Just
it's hot
use
and
it.
let
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I think I focus too much on the ambush angle is what I'm saying. I'm walking that back a little bit. I love
Gotcha.
the idea that you can just play creature light or play it close to parity, a little behind. You ramp, they take the board, you play this, and then this thing goes off.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it kind of just feels like a mopey mall. Like I think.
That's true.
Let me ask this: do you think coming into play ready is better or worse than ambush?
That's a good point.
It's definitely not as good as ambush.
It's not as good as ambush, but in like you can build around wanting to attack base and not units. Like this thing still comes out on 6 with Palp's Return. It's a force unit. I love Justin's point about it being like you're the only unit in your control deck, because it's going to actually close the game out quickly, and you don't necessarily, when you get to that point, you don't need to start attacking units anymore. So I'm not saying it's going to be I don't think this is going to be a meta staple, but like I don't need meta staples. The meta staples are going to present themselves easily. I want a card that like other people don't think they have to worry about, but they actually do, and that's what this card presents to me.
I think it's niche but cool.
I think we could see it. I think we could definitely see it played a lot. I think
It's insane and
the
limited.
concept about the
Right, it's
token
uncommon,
is
too.
pretty big. I think the token thing is huge. Yeah, it's insane and limited. That's a great point.
Yeah, whether it's like fringe in terms of like that, or like in terms of the low creature deck, or it's a sideboard card for tokeny stuff. I mean, if they do have like a bunch of guys out and you can do that ambush trigger ready thing, that could be pretty cool to like build a mace.
And like
Definitely one to keep on your periphery. We talk about this thing of like your deck list, right, being more than 60 cards. I think we teasing some other content, but like this is a card that in this colors palette is always going to be kind of like on the at least on the outside of like, when do I use this? I think.
I mean, I definitely don't think he's necessarily better than Maul or anything. I think Maul serves a completely different role in killing two things at once, whereas Savage is not trying to kill units.
Think about like some of those late game situations you get into where like you're dropping haymakers, except for your haymaker also attacks. So like they might have to claim and hope to rip something, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I guess my
That's
issue
your
with
face.
my issue with it more lies along the lines of not being able to attack right away like you can with ambush. So like I just envision him getting played a lot and then getting like Fell of the Dragon or whatever the edict is.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think you can just slam him out there, but it's tough because he does cost 7. But obviously, like if you're putting enough pressure and you make your opponent like in a yellow-red Boba Fett deck, and my opponent like just tapped out to kill my fire spray, and it was my only unit, and then I come back with this thing, and they're like, oh well, and then you're also having an ability to present this ready attacker in both arenas because you have either the fire spray or Savage to come down.
It reminds me of
what Maddie
go
just
ahead,
said.
Justin.
What you just said is actually really interesting in terms of the gameplay. So, like, if you're in a top deck war and like some sort of form of control mirror, they can just never get ahead on units until you get to like 13 resources or whatever, because they can't just claim. Like, the very common thing is like, I play a unit, like a big unit, and I'll just claim and kill it. Or I'll play a unit, and then you'll play a unit, and then I'll claim because I can just trade my units. Now you can't do that with this card. Like, and you can, but it just takes 7 right away. So like, say you play like, let's say, like a Luke or something like that, just onto the board because you have initiative.
You have
want to
exactly.
have
You have
turn.
initiative, right?
Now this card just comes out and just either takes 7 or just kills their thing.
The
'cause it
Luke
essentially
kills a
has
guy.
ambush.
Now they're up. Yeah.
Yeah. And this
That's
comes and
interesting.
kills Luke and lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got some interesting applications.
Yeah.
I like it in my periphery,
What
and
I-
I'm definitely grabbing it in limited. Oh, real quick though, it reminds me of what's the Rebel tank that costs 6, the grit one? It kind of has that kind of thing too,
Gorilla
like in
Attack
some
Pod?
A little bit like
yeah, there
that,
could be
yeah.
it could be reach for some new wave of villain aggro. Although
I also-
they probably would have more units, so maybe not.
The tie into the leader is going to be really cool. Like thinking about, if it is Maul, I imagine like I'm looking for it at some point to be like a cunning Maul leader,
That'd be cool.
which would be really neat. He's in Rebels. He's certainly that's to me feels like his trait. Um, so, or I'm sorry, Clone Wars. Um, so like if there's some cool like bounce stuff, and then they're trying to just jam their units, and like you just play this guy because they achieved the goal of
Yeah.
getting their leader in another unit, and then you just come down with this boy.
Because
Yeah.
like coordinate's a thing, like if coordinate's a big thing, like you're trying to get your Plo
Right.
online or your Anakin or whatever. Now, like if coordinate is big, Savage becomes even better, right? If there's actually a real coordinate deck.
Cool.
Savage. Well,
All right. Well, in any event,
whatever.
hit us in the comments what you think of this card. You think of our hot takes. Are they ice cold? Let us know. We hope you enjoyed the card, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the spoilers. And check us out at our YouTube channel, our Patreon, for more KTOD content.
Booyah.
Deuces.